Life is a great struggle, all the way we struggle with other people and we struggle with circumstances, and sometimes we struggle with ourselves and our hearts. This struggle is the word that describes my life and the lives of everyone around me. Let me introduce myself to you. I am Kate Hanks from the famous Hanks family, which owns half of the city's investments and which is only approached in influence and money by the Nichols family, which has always been at odds and in constant struggles with my family.
I am the younger daughter of Tom Hanks, the older brother of both Liam Hanks and Brad Hanks. I have 2 older sisters than me, and I have no male siblings, and my sisters preferred to complete their educational career and just do this. They spend their lives between the gym and the house and the shopping places. The truth is, it wasn't just their lives. It was the life of all the family ladies, but for me the situation was different. I always dreamed of standing side by side next to my father and learning from his experience and skill in the world of commerce. She studied public relations at the university and graduated 3 years ago. By graduation, I work with my father at the company's headquarters, which is run by my uncle Liam Hanks, who made sure to help me from day one and push his eldest son Jack to explain to me everything I needed to master my work. When I graduated, I took on greater responsibilities, and this was my biggest motivation to know that I was on the right path and that what I chose for myself was the best I could do in my life. The practical relationship between me and Jack was strong, and I don't deny that I felt strong feelings about him. And I loved spending time with him, and it got louder when he showed me his feelings for me. And indeed his father talked to my father, and the agreement was that the sermon would take place after my older sister's wedding was over. The issue was related to the time only my sister's wedding less than a month later. The lead up to the wedding saw a lot of stress and anxiety, especially at work, and Nichols' family was keen on it. As usual, to harass us and wrestle with every deal we try to get into. But the rest of the business in the market all agreed that this situation could not continue. It is not in Hanks or Nichols' interest to continue this war. Not for the benefit of any of the other businessmen in the market either. This tension is transmitting to them and affecting their actions as well. Business people gathered, including my father and uncles, and I and Jack were also in the audience. As well as the Nichols family of all its members, and the fact that they too were heavily involved in their family's work. The older brother in charge of their work did not marry and considered his siblings' children as his own, and therefore they were responsible for his career. The lion's share of Liam's Wright, who was the family's first and most dangerous grandchild, had a business mentality that could never be underestimated and knew how to use his tools perfectly. The oldest businessman at this meeting was Will Depp, who spoke for the longest time and asked our family and the Nichols family to pledge never to upset each other again and to agree that this war would not go unnecessarily. The parties agreed out of respect for this old man, which we all appreciate. But before the end of the meeting, Liam came forward and said, "The best thing to ensure the implementation of this agreement is for the Nichols family man to marry a girl from Hanks." Of course, this was because Nichols' family was 90% male. There is only one 8-year-old girl, and therefore she is not fit for marriage. My father and uncles agreed to this proposal after pressure from Will Depp, and today we know that the intended groom is Liam himself. I didn't feel any anxiety at the time. There's an older sister for me, and it makes sense to not be the choice. I'm already engaged to my cousin Jack. Liam asked her day to get to know us to choose his bride, and it took her no more, and she yelled at him, "Who do you think you are? You don't buy a piece of clothing or a stupid phone, you pick a bride." The hall stopped talking to everyone in it, and it was covered in a terrible silence that only cut off Liam's voice laughing and telling Dad, "Okay. We'll come on your daughter's wedding night to choose the bride." I felt bad, but my dad grabbed my hand and pressed it so I wouldn't answer it again. I went with Jack in his car, and I was about to shout all the way out of a lot of noise, "How could they have this arrogant and cocky person, who thought of himself to speak with such confidence and think of the daughters of the family as pieces of goods of which he chose?" interrupted Jack my thinking by asking stupid Vincent about my anger and began laughing at his naivety. On the day of the wedding, All the girls were dressed in elegant clothes. It's a good opportunity for magic, and they all seem to be struggling to be the winning bride. They don't know how bad this expected groom is. My father asked me to go with him to welcome Nichols' family. I went with him despite my refusal and tried to avoid friction with Liam in any way, when he handed me closer to my ear and said, "After you." I expected him to talk about me and Jack. But what happened in the following days was not taken into account. I didn't like what I heard and went to my room. I thought a lot about what I could do. I tried to call Jack more than once, but he didn't reply. His phone's not working. I imagined him in a bad psychological state. I'm his cousin and sweetheart, and he should feel bad. The next day I went early to work and waited for Jack in his office and didn't sleep for an hour, and I feel the world choking me and leaving me no chance to breathe. I talked long with Jack and asked him to escape and leave everything behind and travel somewhere else. To another country where nobody knows us and we start together. I might kill myself and not relate to this Liam. After a period of silence, he said, "It is our family and we must sacrifice for it and for its future. Your marriage to Liam Nichols will provide a better future for the family and their business, and you must not be selfish. You have abandoned you for the family and you must also sacrifice." I didn't know how to respond to what Jack said. I felt like he was mercilessly slapping me, but I stood in front of him with a mole and said, "I thought you were a man. But obviously you're not. Well, I'm gonna sacrifice and I'm gonna marry Liam, who I bet is a man more than you. At least he can ask Liam what he wants. You can't even defend who you really are. I hate you with all my heart." I slapped the door and came out. I came out of the company and came home where my father was. I told him I agreed to marry Liam. What would Kate do? Will Liam get married? We waited in part 2. Goodbye.